Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB game scheduled for Monday, May 29th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my $19 rundown best bet, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Monday in Major League Baseball. First up, it's the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Baltimore Orioles. We're going to see Logan Allen and Tyler Wells on the mound in this one. Tyler Wells not in the best of form going into this start, that's for sure. He's given up 8 earned runs and 5 home runs in his last 2 starts, 10 innings of work against the Angels and the Yankees. But when you look at those lineups, 2 very, very tough lineups to face as right-handed pitchers right now. The Guardians, not so much, especially in the power department, where you look at in the month of May, the Guardians are dead last in baseball in isolated power against right-handed pitchers, and OPS are also dead last in baseball. So although this is a team that does a good job at limiting strikeouts, I don't think Wells is going to have too many issues in this start, and I do think his offense is going to back him up against the left-hander in Logan Allen, who I do have some regression concerns in his game, and the Orioles just plainly hit lefties pretty well. They've done so overall in 2023. So I'm going to take the Baltimore Orioles at a pretty good price at Camden Yards. In our next game, it's the Texas Rangers taking on the Detroit Tigers. Nathan Eovaldi and Matthew Boyd are your projected starters. The Rangers have hit lefties very well in the month of May. They have a low walk rate, a low strikeout rate, a high walk rate, and the third best team OPS against southpaws in the month of May. They're facing a lefty here in Matthew Boyd, who has not really pitched well at Comerica Park this season. On the road, he's got a solid sub-4 ERA, but at home this season in 16 2/3 innings of work, a 8.64 ERA, 12 strikeouts, so below a strikeout per inning, and 11 walks to go with it. 324 opponent's batting average as well. It's tough to trust Boyd in this spot against a very tough Rangers lineup. I also think the Tigers will, though, be able to put up a fight offensively against Nathan Eovaldi, who has pitched very well in 2023, but I do think his ground ball rate above 50% is a little bit unsustainable. We know Eovaldi is somebody that's had some issues with the home run ball in his career. He is below a strikeout per inning, which is a little bit concerning for me. I consider Nathan Eovaldi a strikeout-dependent guy. So although I do think Eovaldi will still pitch good enough for the Rangers to win this game, I'd rather just take the over in this one because I think it's a much better price rather than laying that minus 150 price on the road with the Rangers. So give me the over here in Texas, Detroit. In our next game, we see the Kansas City Royals taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. No official starter for Kansas City. We should see Adam Wainwright going for St. Louis. For me right now, it's a lean towards the Royals plus the 1.5 runs. I just can't get behind the price that the Cardinals have here on the money line currently at minus 190. Wainwright's got a 6.33 ERA, only 10 strikeouts and 21 1/3 innings of work. He just hasn't been good enough to earn that price at minus 190. And the Royals have been decent against right-handed pitchers in the month of May. They're 13th in team OPS. They hit the ball very hard. I like their chances to put up a few runs on Wainwright. And although this is a very dicey Royals pitching staff, I think it's good enough for here for at least to cover the run line as the road team. So give me the 1.5 runs here with Kansas City on the road. Next up, we see the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Chicago Cubs. We're going to see Marcus Stroman and Taj Bradley on the mound in this ball game. I don't know what we're going to see from either of these bullpens. They've been used quite a bit in recent games and high-scoring affairs. We saw the Rays' 11-10 final score on Sunday against the Dodgers. But for me, I'm just going to look at the first 5 innings in between these two. I'm going to take the under in the first 5. Marcus Stroman last year did not pitch very well at Wrigley Field, but that's not the case this season. 2.68 ERA and 37 innings at home this year, coming off a really good start against his former team, the Mets, at Wrigley Field. 8 innings of work, 2 earned runs against the Mets in a 4-2 Cubs victory. Although the Rays are a really strong lineup against right-handed pitchers, I do think Stroman can put together 5 quality innings here for the Chicago Cubs. And Taj Bradley, he's been pitching a lot better away from Tropicana Field than he has at home this season. At home, 14 innings of work, a 6.43 ERA, still a very small sample size, so we don't want to put too much into this information, but a 1.74 ERA on the road, 13 strikeouts and 10 1/3 innings of work, and a 162 opponent's batting average. The Cubs' offense has been very inconsistent in the month of May. Against right-handed pitchers, they're 21st in WRC+, so really not great numbers, and their strikeout percentage at 25.9% is the 4th highest. So for a strikeout pitcher like Taj Bradley, I think he could pitch pretty well in the first 5 innings of this game, so give me the under in the first 5. Next up, we see the Colorado Rockies taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Carl Kaufman and Ryan Nelson are your starters. This is a really tough spot to be in if you're the Rockies, as you played a 7-game homestand at Coors Field against the Marlins and the Mets. You have no days off, no days rest in between those series and this one against Arizona on the road. And you got Carl Kaufman on the mound, who's got an ERA above 9 in his first 2 starts at the big league level, giving up 4 earned runs against the Rangers and 5 earned runs against the Marlins. One of those starts was on the road. One of those starts was at Coors. And on the other side, you got Ryan Nelson, who's really, pitching his best baseball maybe of his career, definitely in 2023, where his last 11 1/3 innings, only 1 earned run and 10 strikeouts and 2 Diamondbacks victories. So your offense is probably going to be sluggish after the Coors Field series. You're facing a tough pitcher who's hot, and you're facing you're bringing up to the mound a starter who's got an ERA above 9. I just can't trust you here. Give me the Arizona Diamondbacks laying the 1.5 runs at Chase Field. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Houston Astros. Sonny Gray and JP France are your starters. We're getting a really good price with the Astros here because Sonny Gray's on the other side for Minnesota. He's got that 4-0 record. He's got that 1.82 ERA, and he is having a great season overall, 66 strikeouts in 54 1/3 innings of work. However, he just doesn't pitch deep into ball games anymore. You look at his last 4 starts, 5 innings, 5 1/3 innings, 4 innings, and 5 innings. So he pitched pretty well in all 4 of those games. Yet they were all 4 Minnesota Twins losses because the offense didn't back them up or the bullpen blew it in the end. And I think the Houston Astros have a huge advantage when it comes to the bullpens in this series and in this game. I think the Astros have a much better bullpen compared to Minnesota. So JP France, do I think he's better than Sonny Gray? No way. And I do think there's some regression concerns in his game. I will say, though, he pitched very well in his last start against the Brewers. 8 strikeouts, 5 2/3 innings, only 1 earned run. I think he's good enough here against the Twins lineup that's been home run or nothing lately offensively. They strike out quite a bit. And, Sonny Gray, if he only gives the Twins 4 or 5 good innings, I don't think it's going to be good enough for the Twins to grab a W. So I expect a pretty low-scoring game. I like the Astros to win it in the end. Give me the Houston Astros on the money line. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the San Francisco Giants. Rich Hill and Anthony DeSclafani are your starters in this one. I'm going to take that plus money here with Pittsburgh on the road. Their offense has been very inconsistent in the month of May. I mean, we saw him score a ton of runs on George Kirby in that Mariners series, and then the next game followed up with 17 total strikeouts against Mariners pitchers, led by Luis Castillo in a 5-0 shutout. So, it's been very inconsistent times for the offense for the Pittsburgh Pirates. However, Anthony DeSclafani, as of late, giving up a lot of base hits, some pretty sharp contact as well. We saw him give up 2 home runs in his last start against the Twins. His strikeout numbers are starting to pick it up a little bit, but I just don't see him as a minus 150 pitcher with a lefty on the other side. The Giants have struggled against lefties in 2023. Rich Hill, not my favorite starting pitcher to back, but I will say he's doing a decent job for the Pirates. He's given them some innings this year, 52 2/3 innings, 4.27 ERA. You'll take that all day long from a veteran like Rich Hill. His last start wasn't his best, but like I said, that was against a tough team in the Rangers who are hitting lefties very, very well in the month of May. I think he bounces back here, pitches pretty well on the road. I think the Pirates have a good shot in winning this game outright. So give me that plus money, plus 130 with the Pittsburgh Pirates on the money line. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the Oakland Athletics. We're going to see Mike Soroka and Paul Blackburn, 2 starters making their season debuts for their respective teams in this one. Paul Blackburn really struggled in his minor league rehab outings in the A's organization. Soroka, he wasn't the sharpest, but he was a lot better than Blackburn, and I think the Braves lineup's a lot better than the Oakland A's as well. When you add to the bullpen, I think the Braves are going to win this game and cover the run line, but the value is not really there, so I'd rather just take the over. I think the Braves will be able to get to Blackburn. I also don't think either of these starting pitchers are going to pitch too deep into this ball game, so expect a lot of relievers. The Oakland A's have one of the worst bullpens in baseball. I expect the Braves to score plenty of runs, maybe get us over this total themselves, but I do think the Oakland A's will be able to chip in a few runs also against Soroka and Atlanta's bullpen. So give me the over here in Braves Athletics. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Chicago White Sox. Michael Kopech and Griffin Canning are your starters in this one. 2 guys that are coming off really good outings. Griffin Canning's last start against the Red Sox, 7 innings of shutout baseball with 5 strikeouts and a 4-0 Angels win. On the other side, Michael Kopech's had 2 really good starts against the Royals and the Guardians. Not the strongest of lineups, but 15 innings of work, 19 strikeouts, only 1 walk, and no home runs, no earned runs allowed in those 2 games. Pretty impressive stuff from Kopech. I think it's going to be a pretty low-scoring game overall, but I do think the Angels have the better lineup and the better bullpen if this game is close late. So for that reason, I'm going to take that good price here with the Angels on the money line. Next up, we see the Washington Nationals taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Trevor Williams and Bobby Miller are your starters in this one. Bobby Miller pitched really well in his major league debut, but sometimes we do see pitchers have really good debuts, but once the scouting reports out a little bit, we see opposing teams start to pick up on some things. And Bobby Miller really didn't have the best numbers in minor league action this year. His strikeout numbers weren't great. His ERA was up there. So I do think this is going to be a tough spot to be in against the Nationals team that has that scouting report now. And, there are also teams just limit strikeouts at the plate. They don't have the best numbers, isolated power or OPS-wise against right-handed pitchers this year or in the month of May. But they have a very low strikeout rate, 19.6%, the second lowest in baseball in the month. Their OPS numbers are actually improving against righties. They're 11th in baseball in the month of May. So I do think Washington will be able to get to Bobby Miller early in this game. And I also think there's just a lot of value on Washington at this price on the road. We know the Dodgers, when they're playing at home, are going to be big favorites in most games. Trevor Williams is a guy similar to Rich Hill who just gives them some innings. 50 innings of work, a 4.32 ERA. He'll take that all day long for the Nationals. And he's not a guy that earns a lot of strikeouts, and sometimes he has some issues with the home run ball, but he gets outs for Washington. He gives them much-needed innings, and when you look at his last 5 starts, the Nationals are 4-1 on the money line in those games. And look at the teams he played along the way. The Cubs, the Diamondbacks, the Mets, the Padres, the Marlins, some winning teams, some teams with winning records or just below 500 along the way. So I think Trevor Williams competes here. I like the Nationals offense. Give me the Washington Nationals plus the 1.5 runs at Dodger Stadium. Next up, we see the New York Yankees taking on the Seattle Mariners. Domingo Germán and Bryce Miller are your starters in this one, the final game for Monday's card in Major League Baseball. I do think there's some uncertainties in Germán's game after his suspension back on May 16th against the Blue Jays. For me, it's Mariners money line or pass, as you got the Yankees going from New York to Seattle, while the Mariners got to stay at home after their series against the Pirates at home. And Bryce Miller's pitching well for Seattle, 1.15 ERA. Do I think he's going to be able to hold on to that ERA? Probably not, but he's got 28 strikeouts in 31 innings. Not bad strikeout stuff, especially as of late. And he's just pitched well for the Mariners, giving them some really good innings. No home runs allowed yet this season. Important against a very powerful lineup like the Yankees. And we just learned Anthony Rizzo may be not available for the Yankees in this series as he was injured on the game on Sunday. So just a really tough spot to be in for the Yankees. A lot of uncertainties with Domingo Germán. I got to take the Mariners here on the money line at a solid price at home. And that's it. Those are the games for Monday in Major League Baseball. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.